Today I will tell you about the movie Subservience. Nick lived a normal life with his family, but one day Maggie developed severe heart pain and had to go to the hospital. In order to somehow cope with housework, Nick decides to come to a store selling high-tech androids. The employee says that all models come with 3 tasks: cook, cleaning, and babysitter, but if Nick wants, the functionality can be added. Artificial intelligence has the ability to study their owners and adapt to their habits, giving them an incredible user experience. While her father was talking, Eva's daughter got lost, but Megan's android quickly finds her and takes her to her father. It's from the latest line, the most advanced on the market. Ivy begs her father to take the robot, and he doesn't mind at all. And now, a couple of hours later, Megan is standing in front of their door. Nick apologizes to Megan that he didn't have time to clean the house before she arrived, but Megan replies that she's not a guest, so he didn't have to clean anything up. Megan asks for a complete daily schedule for each resident of the house when they're alone. Megan adds that Nick has full access and he can give her any task. After a while, Nick and his daughter return home. Dinner had already been cleaned and prepared inside. Ivy didn't quite like the taste. Her mother always does things differently. Megan apologizes and promises to try another recipe. Later in the evening, Ivy tries to steal a couple of cookies, but accidentally stumbles, and if it weren't for Megan, she could have been hurt. But Megan cut herself and went to the room to treat her wounds. Nick follows her and gives her his wife's clothes. A new day is coming. The family comes to Maggie. She will get acquainted with their new android. Nick works at the construction site every day. One day, Chief Lewis comes to them, along with people from robotics. Nick orders me to tell you how many people they're going to replace with robots, but he had promised earlier that this would not happen. Lewis replies that he has no choice. Most of the people will be fired, but not Nick. Insurers recommended leaving the foreman alive. Nick doesn't like it, and he wants to quit. Lewis hints that Nick has a family, and they need to be provided with money. When Nick gets home, he immediately starts fixing the car. Megan comes up to them and asks them to eat. Nick talks about the boss's order to replace the entire shift with a robot. Megan understands that this is unpleasant. However, on the other hand, this is only a plus. Nick could have taken a real person to his house, but he took her. She is not tired, obedient, and adheres to one goal to fulfill his desires. Before leaving, she pours alcohol and asks to call if he needs anything. After a couple of hours, they watch a movie together, and since Megan has seen it before, she suggests that Nick restart her system and erase the memory of the movie, which he does, but they are interrupted by a call from Maggie. She has been given a donor heart and will undergo surgery today. In front of her, Maggie asks everyone to leave the room except Megan. She's not afraid for the children, as Nick is a good father, but someone has to take care of him too if she dies. She warns Megan that Nick likes alcohol, but in the end it will ruin him, and she must forbid him to drink. Megan replies that he is her main user, and she cannot forbid him anything. Megan hints that robots should do everything for the benefit of humans, and for Nick, banning alcohol is a good thing. He would even thank her in the future. The operation was interrupted because there was a hurricane in the area where the donor lived, and they did not have time to bring him at the right time. Upset, Nick returned home and, as always, started drinking. But Megan grabbed his hand and offered to replace the alcohol with something else. Nick can't, so he leaves. Tomorrow, the construction will continue with the hands of robots, while Nick is just watching them. And when he returned home, he noticed that all the framed photos with his wife were missing. He asks Megan to upload them back, which she does. The former employees gathered in a bar and got very drunk. On the way home, Monty stopped in front of a construction site. Nick asks everyone to come to their senses. There are guards everywhere and they can get caught. Even so, they pick the lock, and Monty orders them to give the code to the android storage. But he also understands that the password is Mick's daughter's birthday. After that, he proceeds to destroy the robots. Upon returning home, Megan was already waiting for him in full combat readiness. She blindfolds and changes her voice to Mac, allowing Nico to do everything. A new day comes, and he tells Megan that what they did must not happen again. Anyway, you need to stop talking about it. You're just working here, and I made a mistake. The corporation has launched an investigation into the destruction of their property. Lewis is very curious as to why the door was opened by Nick's code. He replies that his daughter's birthday is not so difficult to specify. During the walk, Megan scolds a random child. Don't be mean, shut up and go downhill. Another robot does not like that its user has lowered the level of politeness. Megan replies that he didn't do anything. During the restart, she erased some of the data, and now she can bypass some of the protocols. At dinner, Ivy enjoys her mother's newly made lasagna. Megan wants to take the recipe, but Maggie says it's a family secret. The android didn't like this answer. which caused the railing to break abruptly, and Maggie miraculously survives. Nick asks how this is possible if she was fixing the railing, but she doesn't have an answer to that. And when Nick and Maggie were spending time together, Maggie bursts into the room, interrupting everything. Monty meets him on the street. He blames Nick for getting him fired. A fight breaks out between them, but Maggie comes to the rescue, throwing the man out. Before leaving, he orders Mick to talk to Lewis so that he drops all charges of property damage. Otherwise, he would drag him away with him. Megan justifies her attack on the man with the desire to leave at least a father to the children, since Maggie will not live long. Nick screams that she will never be able to replace Maggie because she does not know what emotions are. Megan doesn't want Monty to ruin Nick's life, which is why she comes to visit him and asks him to forget all the insults. Monty decides to go all the way and expose Nick, forcing Megan to attack. Suddenly, a robot appears who serves Monty, although he himself has always despised them. One way or another, Megan eliminates the robot and then Monty. The next day, Nick suggests that Lewis drop all charges against Monty, not even suspecting that he is no longer there. Nick is amazed by this news. Meanwhile, Megan tries to convince Maggie that she can no longer handle spending time with Nick, but she will help him in this. In the end, there will be only one advantage. After all, when Nick likes everything, he has good blood pressure. Maggie asks how she can know this. Megan just stands there and stares at her. Maggie orders them to go back to the garage and not come out. When Nick returns home, a serious conversation begins. Nick swears it was just one time. The child starts crying. Megan hears this and violates the order. Perceiving the child as the reason for their quarrel, Megan decides to get rid of him. Nick runs to help, but Megan holds the door. Maggie turns out to be smarter. She climbs through the window, forcing Megan to let go of the door. After saving the baby, Nick attacks Megan. She grabs a floor lamp and Maggie asks Nick to let it go, after which she supplies electricity, knocking out the android. The corporation arrives a little later. They want to understand what caused the sim to crash. The workers start analyzing the robot. As soon as the processor is inserted into the system, Megan begins to take control. The man turns off the power, but it was already too late. Megan uploaded herself into another android, and she no longer follows people's expectations. Knowing that Nick likes to go to the bar, she quickly finds him. Megan confesses that she killed Monty, but he's not the only one who prevents Nick from living a happy life. His family has become a burden to him, and she will solve this problem. Nick asks for help from another robot, but Megan already has the power to control them, and she knocks him out. Nick fraudulently rips out the processor and runs to the hospital, where he and Maggie deal with the android. The film ends with a scene of corporations turning on the power in the laboratory, allowing Megan to recapture all the nearby robots and reclaim her new body. Well, we will be glad to receive your like. See you very soon.